Well, good evening everybody, it's Zero, and welcome to the first in what is hopefully going to be many videos on weird and stupid history. I'm going to be taking a look at some of the stories that in history either just don't make sense, are just plain strange and weird, or the stuff that's really stupid and quite funny. I've seen quite a few stories. I'm quite looking forward to getting some of these videos out actually, so let's go, shall we? So this first one is going to be based on a story that I learned quite a while ago, and I wasn't sure if it was true. Now, still don't know if it's 100% true, mainly because the problem is with some of history is that, especially some of the older history, some of it is done through word of mouth only, and it's only written by one source, and that obviously causes a couple of issues when it comes to trying to figure out whether the story is true or not. So some stories you do need to take it with a pinch of salt, and some of it you need to take with a literal bag of salt. So we'll see if this actually ends up being true. I hope it is, because it's really bloody stupid, but it also kind of makes a little bit of sense. So here we go. So this story is the Viking who died from a tooth. Yes, a big, wonderful, beautiful Viking warrior who died from a tooth. So this guy was a guy called Sigurd Eysteinsson. I think I pronounced that right. I'm not entirely sure. I may be butchering the name. I'm not 100% sure. He was also known as Sigurd the Mighty, and he ruled from 875 to 892 AD. Now, he was the second Earl of Orkney, which at the time was a Viking raiding settlement. It was technically not within the Viking Kingdom. It was a place where Viking exiles used to be sent. And this was following the reunification of Norway by none other than Harald Fairhair, who you might have heard of before. Now, Sigurd was one of the guys who went over to Orkney to help clear the rebels out, and they did. However, the original person who was supposed to be taking the settlement didn't. He decided to give it on to his brother, which was Sigurd. And so he then became the Earl of Orkney. In those times, it was quite common for local rulers to attack each other. Usually in sort of battles where there were rules, I guess, like honourable battles, I guess, which, considering the time, was actually kind of rare, I guess, rather than just, storming the place with as many soldiers as you can find and hoping that somebody gives out at some point. However, Sigurd decided to challenge a local ruler, who was called Mael Brigt. I think that's how you say that name. Again, I could be completely butchering the name. At this point, I literally do not know. But I think that's how you say it, Mael Brigt. I don't know. I didn't put any pronunciation in my script, and I wish I had. This honourable battle was supposed to be a 40-a-side battle between Sigurd and Mael. And this was for the conquest of Mael's local area, which was just south of Orkney. I can't actually remember the name, but there we go. This was all written in the Orkneyinga Saga, which was written just after the time, or during the time. This was supposed to be an honourable battle, right? Everyone was supposed to get on with each other, everyone was supposed to fight each other nice and honourably, and whoever won, if Mael won, he kept the area. If Sigurd won, he would take the area. Unfortunately, Sigurd was a bit of a twat, and he decided that he was going to take double the amount he was supposed to take, which, between them, they agreed to a 40-a-side battle. 40 v 40, take your best warriors, seems perfectly fine, that seems perfectly fair. See what happens between 40 and 40 fights. Unfortunately, Sigurd, like I said, is a bit of a twat, and he decided to take double. He took 80 men, and I'm sure you can imagine how well that went down. Obviously, Mael was just sat there thinking, okay, what are you doing? This was supposed to be before the side battle, and yet you've brought twice as much. Mael didn't have 80 men, he still had 40, and Sigurd basically just turned around and said, well, tough shit. I brought 80 men, we're taking the area, it doesn't matter what you think, we're keeping the area. So, yeah, I'm sure you can imagine how well that went for Mael. Now, of course, Mael died. Mael was killed, and so were all of his men. So Sigurd was obviously the victor, and he was thinking, oh, I've taken this area, beautiful. But you know what I really need? I really need a trophy. I need a trophy of this fight. So, he beheaded him. Beheaded Mael. Which, it's modern day, maybe with a stray bed. Which, obviously, to the modern day, it would be a little bit of a strange thing to do, you know, unless it's obviously the whole thing of Vikings drinking from the skulls of their enemies, which might actually be true now that I think about it. But anyway, there was a slight problem with this, okay? Now, Mael had a nickname. Mael had an interesting nickname, which was Mael the Buck-Toothed. Toothed. Yes. Toothed. He literally had a giant buck tooth that stuck out the front of his mouth. So, Sigurd beheaded him, strapped his head to his belt, and left. Simple enough so far, right? Right? Seems simple enough so far. However, something interesting happened along the way. Something very, very interesting. Now, remember when I said that he was buck-toothed? Okay? Just remember that. At some point during the ride back, Mael's buck tooth scratched Sigurd's leg. Just his buck tooth. It scratched his leg. Just a little scratch on his leg. Not much, you know. Maybe a bit of a superficial wound, you know, a little bit of blood maybe, a little scratch, you know, nothing major. You can't expect something major from just a scratch from a tooth, okay? However, at some point on the journey, that buck tooth scratching his leg, the scratch actually started to become quite badly infected and quite badly inflamed. I don't know what they did to try and help him with this. I don't know if they would have bothered, to be honest, because, you know, he's a big, strapping Viking warrior who knows how to fight, and he will take any injury as nothing. He will not respond to any big injury. Slight problem though. This scratch, as I said, became badly infected and inflamed. It didn't stop. It became worse and worse and worse as the ride got on. After a certain amount of time, he became very, very ill. To the point where he actually ended up dying from the infection. He died from the infection caused by a small scratch on his leg from a tooth. Right. There is some sort of poetic justice there, I think. You know, you cheat at a fight with this guy. you cut his head off. You're thinking, I'm the victor. I've taken this victory. And then all of a sudden, yeah, his tooth decides to scratch you and you die from that. Bit of a strange thing to start happening, I think. Now, the weird thing is, right, is that this was all written in the Orkneyinga Saga, okay? Which told of the history of, well, the Orkneys and the surrounding areas. There's only one source to say that this is what actually happened. I suspect that while this might have happened, because the sagas have actually been quite accurate in how they explain history and how they record it, they have actually been quite accurate. I have a funny feeling that this might actually have been a battle wound, where he got a small wound from during the fight, and he didn't realise that he had the wound. Again, whether or not that's true, I don't know, because that was never recorded. But the odds of dying from a scratch from a tooth seem pretty low. But then again, you have to think about this. They didn't exactly have much in the way of medical care, or any sort of medical care that wasn't beyond a poison. Because, well, for some reason at that time we thought the best medical thing to give somebody was a poison. But obviously in hindsight's 2020, you wouldn't want to give somebody poison for a wound. So again, the likelihood of that happening seems quite unlikely. But then again, this is a time where we didn't have much medical care, and you could die from a cold. So you could die from a small cold, you could die from a cut, you could die from too much air, maybe, I don't know. But the likelihood of dying from a scratch seems very, very low. And I think that there might not be something quite right with this. But if it is correct, this is probably one of the stupidest ways to die, especially for a Viking warrior, that I know of. I think that'll do for the inaugural episode of Weird and Stupid History. I don't know how long these videos are going to go on for, as in length of the videos. There are some stories that are really long, so those will probably be quite long videos. But this one was a nice little short story, I guess, and a little bit of a short story for you guys of probably one of the stupidest and weirdest deaths I've seen. Especially from a Viking warrior who was probably well accustomed to the rigors of combat, to die from his enemy's buck tooth. And that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and please, if you did enjoy it and you want to see some more of this, please press those like and subscribe buttons, and also hit that bell so you know when I upload. And also, since it's the first episode, why not give it a share on social media? Maybe put it on Twitter, maybe put it on Facebook, maybe put it on, I don't know, something else. I don't know, I don't use much social media. But if you did enjoy that and you want to see some more different videos, check out over here. You will see the most recent video, apart from this one, at the top here. And down below that, you will see, I suppose you'll see the History Buff Reacts playlist. Of all the History Buff Reacts I've done on this channel, that'll hopefully be changing soon, if these weird and stupid history stories do well. But I've been Zero, this has been Weird and Stupid History of the Viking who died to a tooth. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.